Greetings, friends. Dennis LaRue here, your executive and life coach with LDR. Leaders develop relationships, and the number one relationship you develop is with yourself. And for 83 weeks, we have been developing ourselves here on the hashtag steeltoesrequired quote of the week, and this is episode number 83. Hey, Melanie, good to see you. And for those of you that are new to Steel Toes, real quickly, what this is designed to do is, you hear speakers say, what I'm about to say is going to step on your toes. And so I've taken quotes that have impacted my life, that have poked and prodded me, and they have stepped on my toes, and I wanted to share those with you, share some lessons learned, share some thoughts, all in the spirit of inspiring you, motivating you, and getting you to put on your steel toes, kick down the doors in your life, to kick down the doors in your area, to fight through those obstacles and become the person who you are meant to become. I'm with you, Melanie. Take 3. Let's hope that there's not take 3 and 4 and 5 tonight, right? My friend Melanie, you are awesome. Tonight's quote I have been munching on for over a year, and it comes from Andrew O Brien, who is a U.S. Army veteran. He is a marketing, promoting. He does a fantastic job in this area. He has worked with some very high-vis clients that folks here that are on Steel Toes, you're very aware of some of the names. I'm not going to mention them. But he is also the founder of the largest veteran entrepreneur group on Facebook called the Vetpreneur Tribe. And this quote he shared over a year ago. And it steps on my toes reading it to you. Here it comes. Get ready. He said this: you can spend your life quoting world-changing influencers. There he is, Andrew, what's going on? You can spend your life quoting world-changing influencers, or you can become the world-changing influencer who people quote. Let that sink in for a minute. I'm going to read it again. When I was reading this again today, it just took my breath away. So I'm going to read this again. You can spend your life quoting world-changing influencers, or you can become the world-changing influencer who people quote. Did that touch a nerve? This is Steel Toes Required quote of the week, and this is 83 weeks where we've quoted world-changing influencers. So this quote fits in here, but the point of this and the point of Steel Toes isn't for us to be just within the umbrella of these world-changing influencers. These world-changing influencers are here to influence us to become world-changing influencers, but not to hide under their cover completely. Does that make sense? I want you to think about that. Because when I first read this quote, I'll confess right now, it attacked my ego. It struck my competitive urge within me to be one of those, to be a global influencer. But also, as I've dug down deeper and spent more time in it, it's about impact. It's about impact. Each one of you is unique. Each one of you has a story. Each one of you has experiences in life, in business, school, military, career, whatever it is, that is different from everyone else. And it's time for you to share your story. See, we've been told that we are the sum average of the 5 people we hang around the most, right? Well, think about that from your personal growth and development. Who are the 5 people? Who are the 5 influencers that you spend your time around reading, watching their podcasts, on their blogs, Facebook feeds, Twitter feeds, all of the things that they do? Maybe you've taken some of their training programs. You've been certified in some of their programs. Whatever that is, take a minute to think about those 5. And now the question I have for you is, what are you doing with those 5 as they influence you? How are you using that to grow your influence? Because that's why they're doing what they're doing. Are they making money? Absolutely. Sure, they're making money. But they're making money because they have touched a nerve in our lives. They have found, as one of my mentors, Paul Martinelli, says, feed a starving market. They found some hungry people, hungry for their influence, hungry for what they're saying, their experiences, what they've written, and we've jumped on it. There are people out there waiting for yours that are hungry for what you are dishing out. Are you dishing it out? Are you preparing that meal for them to devour? Are you preparing it? Or are you holding it in? Are you keeping it back? You see, this isn't just about being a world changer. It's about you becoming, you coming out, you sharing your story. You are an influencer. You see, leadership is influence, John Maxwell says. There we go. There's a quote from a world-changing influencer. And it's true. You're an influencer. You're a leader. Now, as a leader, it's time to tell your story. So what's your story? And some of you are probably this way. And I have found myself saying this myself. Well, wait a minute. You know what? My story's not really that good. There's not really a whole lot to it. In fact, my story might be boring. Or my story doesn't have all the bells and whistles. It doesn't have those miraculous moments. It doesn't have those, hey, Daniel, what's going on, man? And you might be saying that about your story, but you know why we say that? You know why I've said that? Because we're familiar with our story and we don't think we think we're average and that there's nothing unique about us. But what happens when you start telling your story? I saw Lynn Brown out there. What happens when you start telling your story? People start coming to you and saying, wow. They start resonating with your story. And they start saying, wow, your story's incredible. Or, you know what? I've never met anybody like this before. I've never met anybody who went through this before. I thought I was the only one who went through this before. And your story resonates. And your story impacts. And guess what happens? When you start sharing your story, people start quoting your story. People start quoting you. And they start sharing you with others. It's that ripple effect. When you share your story, when you share those things about you, it expands. That's right, Don. Make a mess. Make your mess your message. That's right. We've all got messes. There's no one perfect. We've got messes. And our messes help others work through their messes. I'm not perfect. I have my own set of messes. But what's your story? Tell your story. It's time for you to start quoting your story to others. Still learn from those life-changing influencers. That's what they're there for. They're to help us grow. They're to expand our thinking. They're to challenge us and encourage us to loan their influence to us in some cases as we've gone into some of their programs. But don't rely solely on their influence. Build your own. Grow your own muscles. Become the person you were meant to become. Fulfill your purpose, fulfill your calling, find your voice, and then let it out and share it. You see, what makes those influencers that we follow, the John Maxwells, the Tony Robbins, the Darren Hardys, the Napoleon Hills, you can go through a whole laundry list. You can even quote sports. Pick your area of influencers. And what makes them so amazing is, first off, they've done something amazing. And they've shared their stories. and they've been consistent with it. And so we study them and we learn from them. But here's the difference. The person who wants to tell their own story and become an influencer applies the lessons that they learned from them and goes out and does them, and then puts their own part of their DNA in it. You put your own life to it. You apply their lessons to your life, and you build your message and grow. It's so easy. Part of this, when we spend our lives quoting other world changers, it's easy to try to mimic their life, to mimic them, to try to be just like them. I'm raising my hand right now. I'm guilty. I've done it a few times in my life. And you know what? That's who they are. That's not who I am. You got to be you. Be you. And being you is enough. I'm going to say that again. Being you is enough. Learn those lessons and apply them, and be you. Because nobody else can be you. Nobody else can be me. And our stories are designed to reach other people. That's right, Daniel. Our stories are designed to impact lives. Some of us, it's going to be a global influence. Some of you are saying, I don't want a global influence. And that's okay. But you still make an influence of those around you. There are still people around you to influence. And to quote you, it's about growing your influence. Taking where you are today, what is the next level? What does the next level look like for you? For some of you, it's examining your story and starting telling that story. For some of you, you're telling your story. Now it's taking it to the next level of telling that story. Maybe it's through writing that story, as Daniel has done. Maybe it's getting on more stages. Could be Facebook Lives, podcasts like my friend Lynn Brown there has started her podcast. Some of you out there, the next step, what is that next step for you? Building groups, building that tribe, growing that influence. For those of us here in this business, growing that influence. Taking a look at those folks that are in your circles and influencing. Whatever that is, your call to action is take that next step. Whatever came just now into your awareness, whatever it is that came to your mind, write it down and take that next step. That's your call to action this week. Take the next step. And you know what? Your heart probably beating a little faster right now. You're probably wondering, how in the world am I going to do it? I'm a little scared. This makes me uncomfortable. Good. You're uncomfortable. Good. Because when you're uncomfortable, you're in a position to grow. And you're in a position to make an impact and make a difference in your life and those around you. It's the step you need to take. Getting out of your comfort zone. That's right. That's right, Melanie. Do it. Take the next step. Grab that piece of paper and hold yourself accountable. That's right. Accountability. And why do we do this? It's not to put fear in you. It's about, again, when I read this quote, it was about my ego and competition, but that's not the right motive. The motive is to impact others. It's getting your story out. People need to hear your story because the lessons you've learned in life and the wisdom you've gained, somebody needs. The stories that you've been through that you can teach experiences from, principles from, somebody needs to hear. Somebody needs to hear it. And this is your time. This is your moment. This is the reason why you are here at this moment, at this time in life, is to take that next step. Yes, Melanie, think about your why, not your whine. Don't make excuses. The excuses are popping up left and right. It's why. the why. What's your why? What's your why? And the why is to impact others. It's to influence others. Because when your why is focused there, you know what? That world-changing and global impact is a result. It's a result. It's an alignment of your why. And so, friends, that quote by Andrew O'Brien. Andrew, I saw you on here, man. I appreciate you. This quote there's still so much more to unpack from this quote. This is just, folks, we just scratched the surface of this quote. And I'm going to say it again, from quotes from Andrew O'Brien, Army veteran, founder of the largest veteran tribe that's on Facebook called Vetpreneur. If you're a vet, go join it. He's now branched away from that, running his business. And he said this. He said, you can spend your life quoting world-changing influencers, or you can become the world-changing influencer who people quote. There's the difference. Are you the quoter, or do you want to be the quotee, the person that people quote? That's your challenge. That's your challenge. And with all of that, I'm going to bring Steel Toes to my favorite part, the blessing. I pray the blessing of bread that you know no hunger. I pray the blessing of salt, that your life would be filled with flavor, but also flavorful to others. And I pray the blessing of wine, that joy and prosperity would be yours, and the love of God would be your portion this day and forevermore. And Jamie just pointed out the blog will be out soon. There's a blog also based off of this quote. We normally post it here. I also put it on LinkedIn, and you'll go right to the website as well. So I want to thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here on the hashtag steeltoesrequired quote of the week. Andrew, if you're out there, post your link on your business, on what you're doing. I would love for you to do that. Honored for you. Thank you for this quote and allowing me to share this with the group today. Friends, now go out this week and go be an influencer. Work through what we talked about. Whatever it was you wrote down that you needed to do to step up to the next level in growing your influence, it's time for you to do it. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Take care, friends. Bye for now. Have a great week.